Hey everyone, welcome back to Cuddy's Bookshelf. So today is February's reading wrap up. Can you believe that we're going into March? It's gone so fast. But I have read 20 books in the month of February and I'm really excited about them. So I will jump in. The first one was a middle grade and it is Skander and the Unicorn Thief. I really enjoyed this. This was about Skander, who has always wanted to be a unicorn rider and hatch his own unicorn, but on the day that he goes to the exam to get in to see if he can go and hatch his own unicorn and be a rider, he is refused entry to the exam. And as much as his dad had encouraged him, like, no matter what, you take this exam, he's just refused. So he goes home. His sister had previously, the previous year, took the exam and failed. But she was still encouraging of him and hoping that he would get in. And then that night, someone knocks at the door and says, you have been chosen. You are going to go and hatch your own unicorn. And he was like, well, I didn't even take the exam. I don't understand. But he goes anyway, and it goes from there. It's so good. I loved this adventure. I can't wait to get into the second one. But yeah, my first book, Skander and the Unicorn Thief. So the next book that I read was a non-fiction, and this is I Am Hitman, and obviously this is by Anonymous, but this is about a hitman who tells you like his stories, who he worked with, how their lifespan doesn't last very long, but he has done well to make it as far as he has, and that all of the things that he had to do and how he covered things up and made them look like accidents and stuff. I just found it really intriguing on how there is people out there that actually do this job in the world. And yeah, I enjoyed it. Another one. I don't know what to say about it, but yeah, I did enjoy it. So the next book that I read was The Spanish Love Deception. I read this during a romance vlog that I filmed for Valentine's Day. And well, it's a romance vlog, self-love vlog. If you've watched it, you know. But yeah, I read this during that and I fairly enjoyed it. It's very like your cookie cutter romance, contemporary romance. You know that there's always this animosity between them and then the tension and, you know, your general romance. But I am glad that when they've started to get to know, getting close, and then something, and it's normally miscommunication, and that really annoys me. And then, you know, everything's all roses and rainbows. But I'm glad this one wasn't miscommunication. I thought that was a really good touch, the way that they did it. So this is about Catalina, and Catalina needed a date for her sister's wedding. And Aaron, who she works with, and they always have this bickering between them. And she just didn't think Aaron liked her, so she didn't necessarily get along with him either. And he overhears her talking to one of her co-workers about needing a date for her sister's wedding, which is in Spain. And he was like, well, I'll go with you. And she was like, are you taking the mick? Like, what? You don't even like me? And he was like, I'll go with you. If you're that desperate, I'll go with you. And that's a debate for a little while, like if she could find someone else, but time's running out and Aaron ends up being the one that she has to take with her. And it goes from there. It's really, really great. I really loved this book. I thought I was going to have mixed reviews on it because I have seen mixed reviews on this book, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, The Spanish Love Deception. I'm taking all the little tabs out of it that I've been keeping in them and putting it into my jar of all the books that I've read this year as I'm going along. So the next book that I read is following in a series that I've been reading, and it is Alice Oseman's Heartstopper. This is volume 5. I just love Nick and Charlie's story. There's not much else I could say about it without spoilers, but it is about Nick and Charlie, who Nick is 1 year older than Charlie, and Charlie is about to do his final exams. So Nick is looking at universities and seeing how their future will look during this one. And it's just, oh, it's just so cute. I know everybody says that this romance is adorable and heartwarming, but it is. I highly recommend this series, and obviously it is a graphic novel, which is beautifully illustrated. I love these graphic novels. So yeah, the next 3 books I will put in together because they are around the same thing, and it is Don't Worry, 100 Days Happier, and Look on the Bright Side. These were the non-fiction books that I added into the romance vlog. I fairly enjoyed these. These are going to be ones that I go back to, you know, when I need a little pep in my step and to heal myself. These are going to be the books that I will pick up and do some of the things that they prompt you to do to make your life a little bit happier. So I do highly recommend them. This one is more of a book where you do physical things like changing your space to make it flow better and be more happier. There is yoga, there is all sorts in this, but it does look like those things will really help, and I think I will deep dive more into these because they all have things. Like this one is more of a everyday. You can turn to any page on any day and it will have a quote and then something to think about during that day, like to set your intentions for that day. And I just loved it. And then this one was really, really cute. I really enjoyed this one. I think this one is the one that I've gone back to the most since reading all 3. And it has beautiful illustrations throughout this. It has beautiful quotes. It also has things that you can do to change your way of thinking. It has ways, even with like your food and drink, which will boost your endorphins and make you feel happier. So I just really liked this one, and I highly recommend all 3. The next book is I Don't Know Which Is Love. This is about a girl who is just finishing high school. She has been in love with her best friend for a long time. Her best friend sort of breaks her heart, but she is going to college. So she is like, I'm staying positive. I will find a girlfriend in college. But yeah, every girl that she meets, she's falling in love with and really fancies. And this is a lot more spicier and graphic than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be like a sweet first love, finding first love romance book. But every girl that she meets, they are throwing themselves out at her, and it's, you know, there's a lot of kissing and other stuff in this. But I did get volume 2. I'm going to carry on the series and see if I get into it a little bit more. But yeah, this one, it was okay. It was okay. There was, I think it was just not what I was expecting, but I'm hoping that going into the second one, knowing what I know now, makes it a better experience. The next book is one of my favourite books that I've read this month. I loved this book. I flew through this book. I think it's a book that I will reread, and it is A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saft. So as soon as I read the synopsis of this in the Fairy Loot box, this was January's Fairy Loot book, I had to put it on my TBR. I had to read it. So when I filmed my vlog for the reading romances and stuff, I had to put this on there, and I'm so glad that I did. So this follows Neve, and she is a seamstress, and she has the ability, she has this power and magic in her blood that when she sews every thread and every stitch that she sews, she can sew emotions and memories into garments. And she is well known and well loved, and this catches the eye of the royal palace, and she gets told that she has now been hired to make the prince's garments for his wedding. And he is a very grumpy man, but when they meet, he is still really grumpy, but she challenges him and they get to becoming more friends. But in this like society, because it is very like Bridgerton, where it's ball gowns and courtship and you can't be on your own with a man sort of era, her and the prince are talking one night on this balcony, and they are alone, and it is during a ball, and somebody sees them, and there is this gossip columnist going around, and they get put into the column, it can really damage your reputation. So it's so good. It's so good. So much happens in this that it's just so good. Read it, honestly. Absolutely loved it. I don't even know if I made any sense with the synopsis of that, because I just really loved that book. So I was just like, blah, 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 blah. But leaving the prince, friends, gossip columnist, trying to ruin it, scandal, intrigue. Oh, so good. The next book that I read was Romantic Poets. This is the poets from Wordsworth, Coleridge, Blake, Byron, Shelley and Keats, and I fairly enjoyed these. These were set, so each of the poets had like an introduction to them, so you know what they are currently going through and been through, so you can relate more to their poetry. And I just really loved that about them, and I loved the introduction to the whole book regarding like timelines when they were around each other, and like their deaths and how they come about and everything. But I really enjoyed this. I will reread this, obviously. I love poetry so much, so it was a great one to read during the romancy vlog. And then I read Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is the first in the Chestnut Spring series. These are cowboy romances. This one is Rhett and Summer's story. Rhett is a famous bull rider, and he is in the tabloids all the time, and Summer works for Rhett's PR team. Her dad is Rhett's like PR manager, and he's trying to calm him down a little bit because he has this tournament coming up and he wants the people to be on Rhett's side. And so he sends his daughter Summer, who has just started working for her dad in Rhett's PR company, and Rhett don't want Summer there. He's like, I don't need a babysitter, leave me alone. But she persists, and they end up forming, you know, bonds and stuff. No spoilers, but, you know, it's a romance. But yeah, I cannot wait to carry on this series. I really enjoyed my first cowboy romance, and here's to reading more. And this one was kindly gifted to me by KJ, so thank you again, KJ. Loved it. The next book I read was another absolute favourite of mine, to the point where I was crying reading this, and it is Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. This book, it is so amazing. I just loved it. I'm going to leave it really basic on this book because I went into this blind, and I really think you should too. But it is a love story. It's not your typical love story. It has the representation in this is absolutely incredible. It's what the love story in this and the representation in this is what made my heart so full and happy. And I had a really strong reaction to finishing this book, and I did put it in the vlog because I didn't think I was going to cry with this book, but I just absolutely loved it. And the acknowledgements at the end, what Olivia Blake wrote, I'm getting welled up already, and I loved it. I really loved this book. It is an incredible romance. Please read it. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to spoil anything, and I just want you to go into it blind and read it. And if you have read it, how incredible is this book? Oh my goodness. I cannot wait to get into more Olivia Blake books. So the next book is another non-fiction. I have read quite a lot of non-fiction this month, which is not normally like me, so yay for me. But it is The Stranger Beside Me by Anne Rule. So Anne Rule is a close friend and co-worker with Ted Bundy. When everything was going, she was actually working with the police to figure out who it was. And I really, like, it's hard to say that I really enjoyed it, but I enjoyed seeing, because obviously I've read about Ted Bundy's story, watched documentaries and stuff, but I really enjoyed seeing it play out through the eyes of someone that loves him and is close to him, and like how his behaviours changed towards people, how he presented himself to the people he loved compared to the monstrous acts that he was doing. And it had some updates in it. So when this was first published, it ended where Ted Bundy was caught and was in prison and had got the sentence to be on death row, the death sentence. And then it has a couple of updates where his death sentence was going to be carried out, but then it was prolonged for so long, and then it was updated again when the death sentence was carried out. And yeah, I was really intrigued in this book. I read it quite fast. To say that it's a chunker, I did read it quite fast because I was so intrigued with the mindset of someone that has had that happen to him, because to me that is unimaginable, to think of someone that you love doing acts, the things that he did. I just enjoyed it for that reason, and I highly recommend, if you do like your true crime and want a different perspective of it, read that book. So the next book is a Greek mythology retelling, and it is 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. I enjoyed this. It is about the Trojan War, what happens after the Trojan War. It gives a voice to the females, whether it be the goddesses, whether it be the women of Troy, or even the young girls. It gives a voice to those that has never had a voice before. And I really enjoyed this. I think it is one of my favourites, where it's the retelling during the Trojan War. I think Natalie Haynes did a really amazing job with this book, and I highly recommend it if you do like your Greek mythology retellings. The next book that I read was A Deal with the Elf King by Elsie Cover. I fairly enjoyed this book. I really liked the storyline of this. This involves a village who was haunted by magic and dark beings and stuff. So they made a deal that one of their humans will go to, they get picked every year. There is signs to the one that's going to be the human elf queen, and they have to go and marry the elf king. But it's been over a year since the elf king has been needing his bride to come, but no one knows who it is. There has been no signs to who it is, until one day the prince comes and finds her himself. And Luella is a herbologist, and she helps everybody in her village. And her life gets turned upside down when the elf king arrives. We'll just say that because I don't want to do spoilers, but it is incredible. But it is a fantastic fantasy. I really enjoyed it. It was very binge worthy. So the next book that I read was Lightlark. I had, and this was by Alex Astor, I had mixed feelings about this book. See, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the story, but I just couldn't get behind the romance. The main focused romance that was happening, I just couldn't get behind it. There was no, I don't know, I just wasn't following it. And there's a reason to that you find out right in the end. But I think if you had an attraction in the romance, like if you had feelings in the romance and was more drawn in by that romance, you would have a stronger reaction at the end. But I just didn't. It just wasn't there for me. But I am going to follow it on. I am going to read the next book, and there's a little novella coming out also. So I'll read that as well, because I am intrigued by how this ended, and what you find out during the end makes my feelings valid as I was going through. But this is about, so I better tell you what it's about, I know. But this is about an island of Lightlark, what appears every 100 years to host these deadly games, and they are games set for each of the 6 realms to fight to break their curses. And that part I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed like the trials and the mysteriousness of them all, like who can you trust, who can you not trust. But I think it was the romance for me that I just couldn't get behind, the main focused romance. And I'm happy the way that it ended, so that makes me want to carry on reading it. But it's not a book that I would jump to and be like, that's one of my favourites. If you get what I mean. I did enjoy it, and I will carry on reading. And I'm hoping to enjoy the next one even more. The next one is Hide and Seek by MJ Aldridge. This is the 6th, I want to say the 6th book in the D.I. Helen Gray series. Is it the 6th book? I really think it's the 6th book. Hold on. Does it say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? It is the 6th book. Check me out. So this is the 6th book in the D.I. Helen Gray series. I am loving this series. This book made my heart beat out of my chest. The amount of times that I felt panic in this book, and something that happens, I was like, what? But absolutely loved it. This was 5 stars. I love this series so much. I think all I can say about this one, because obviously it is a series and I don't want to spoil anything, but in this one the murders happen in a prison, and that's all I can say. I'm sorry about that, but if you want to read an amazing crime thriller series, oh my goodness, this is the one. This is the series. Read it. I highly recommend. It's totally worth your time, and there are such fast reads that I have to calm myself from reading the whole lot and just forgetting about the rest of my TBR. But I did read this one and absolutely loved it. The next book is a reread for me, and oh my goodness, I just love this book so much, like so much. Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. So this is the tabs, and I have like deep dived into this book. I have nitpicked into this book, and I loved every minute of it. Absolutely adore this book. Honestly, when I put it down, I was a bit nervous about going into Bookshops and Bone Dust, which I did do. That's the next book. But I was a bit nervous because the characters in this I love so much. That's not Viv, obviously, because the Bookshops and Bone Dust has Viv in. But I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about not having the rest of these characters in the book, because I just love them so much. The found family in this book, and Cal, he is adorable, and Thimble, the cutest little thing in the whole world. But anyway, this is about Viv. So I'm just literally reminiscing how much I love all of the characters and the found family in this. But it is incredible. It's the coziest fantasy you will ever read, and I stand by that. And this is about Viv, who has always been a fighter, and she doesn't want to live in that world anymore, like live that life anymore, should I say. And she goes and starts up a coffee shop, and along the way she meets people that will help her, and it's just, it goes from there really. It's like, will her past follow her? You know, will it? And I just love this book. Absolutely love this book, and I might as well go straight into Bookshops and Bone Dust. So this is a prequel. So this one starts where Viv is battling this necromancer. Viv ends up getting a really bad injury, and her crew that she is currently with leave her in this seaside town and said to her that we're going to go off and finish the mission, but when we come back, we want, hopefully you've healed and you can come along back with us. So she's stuck in this town, injured, and she starts making friends in this town. She starts working in this bookshop. The characters in this I love just as much as in Legends and Lattes. They have some really sweet characters, and the twists and turns of this book, the action in this book, and the way Viv is, you can see the Viv that she has become in this one. You can see her trying to come out of her in this one, and I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. And again, there is tabs, many tabs. Take that out, ready for my jar. And then the last book that I read this month is another one that I am going through with a very fine-toothed comb. So fine, in fact, that I have not yet finished it, but I will finish it by the end of the month, because after I finish filming today, I will be sitting down and I will be finishing this book, because it has been, I've been reading it for a long time, but I have been in a bit of a reading slump. I mean, 20 books, you wouldn't think it, but over the past week or so, I have been reading this, and when I do jump into this, I am in it. Like, I am loving it. I'm enjoying it. I'm intrigued. And I think that I am so grateful that I'm reading a book that I absolutely love, because I think it's helping me get out of my slump at the same time as me not wanting to pick a book up. I don't know what's going on, but it is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I love this book so much. Obviously, I can review it for you today because I know how it ends. This is a reread, but I am just like this. That you can see how much I've got left. But when I say I am loving my time with this book, honestly. Every reaction that I have, I'm writing it down. Everything. So even if it's just like the smallest thing and I'm like, ugh, I write, ew. Everything. I'm writing every thought, every feeling. It's all going in this book, and I'm loving it. I'm loving this book so much. And I didn't manage to read the second and third one this month, so that will be carried on to the next month, another TBR that it's in. But I'm hoping to get to them. I'm going to be finishing this one today, and I'm really excited about it. But yeah, shall I tell you what it's about? Because I keep telling you, and I'm going to have to tell you again in my TBR. This is about Evangeline, who is currently heartbroken because the love of her life, this lad called Luke, who she's been growing up with, has said that he is now marrying her stepsister. So she's like, there is something odd here. This can't be right. That they was falling in love. How can he now love someone else? So she goes to the Prince of Hearts for help, and he is very hesitant, and then he says to her, I will stop the wedding and give you what you want, but you have to give me 3 kisses. It doesn't matter who or where or when. You give me these 3 kisses and I will stop this wedding from happening. So she agrees, and after the first kiss she realizes she should not make deals with a fate, and it's just incredible. If you have not started this trilogy, I highly recommend that you do, because I am obsessed with this one. I love this one. And the second one I absolutely love, because I have read that one also. It's only the third one that I haven't read, but if they're anything like the first 2, I'm going to be obsessed. So yeah, highly recommend that also. But yeah, Oh my goodness, I feel like I haven't took a breath through that whole video, and I'm not even sure if I described them very well, so I do apologise, but I'm just so excited and I wanted to show you what I'd read in the month of February. I hope that you've had a really great month in February. Let me know what you have been reading, if you have had any 5-star reads, because I would love to know. Do you recommend me any books? Keep me posted. I want to be having all those recommendations from you. But yeah, honestly, I'm so out of breath. I really hope that you enjoyed my February wrap up. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more from me, please subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye! The next book, hold on, itchy nose, itchy nose. The next 3, let me take all the little tabs out. Oh, shizer, I've just ripped it. It also has dietary fluids, and you can tell that I work in a hospital because I said diet and fluids instead of like food and drink. Ah dear. Oh, I'm getting a dead leg real bad. Oh no, that's gonna hurt. But she has magic within every stitch that she stows. She has magic in every stitch that she stows. Why? What's wrong with me? A romance, and it is just the most beautifulest thing you're ever going to read. It's just the representation in this book is what made my heart so happy, and why I ended up crying. Is one of her close... That didn't make no sense. So when this was first published, it ended where Ted Bundy was arrested and put in prison. There is a piece of fluff flying in front of my eyes. Ended where Ted Bundy had been arrested and was in prison, waiting for his what's it called, death row. So I think Natalie Haynes did so much. The fact that this follows... I'm burping, I'm doing all the things you shouldn't be doing when you're filming. Anyway, this is by Elsie Notcover. Oh my god, the pins and needles. The next book is a... Don't slap the thing. The reactions. Every reaction that I have, I keep leaving those little tabs in. Take that on. But yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed my February... I was about to say TBR. We're doing it all again. Oh god. So I really hope that you enjoyed my... What is it? A February wrap up. Oh my goodness. Let's go finish you. I can't wait. 'Cause I'm way too sad to dance. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. 'Cause I'm way too sad to dance. I really don't know how I've described any of these books. This keeps happening to me where I film a whole video and then afterwards I'm like, what did I actually say? I hope that I've described the books as best as I could. But I tried.